All right, we have to do it. We have to have this talk. We need to talk about babies and crying. I know, it's hard to hear your baby crying, but there are different types of cries and there are different ways to respond to our baby crying. So stay tuned for this video. Babies communicate in the form of cries and coos. If they're dissatisfied with anything, and I really mean anything, they're gonna cry. Now, little disclaimer before we even get into all the different things that you should do when your baby is crying, I want to make a little disclaimer that if your baby is under 4 months old and they even start whimpering, like tend to your baby. I am not even remotely close to being a fan of younger babies crying, but over 4 months old, when your baby is crying, it's important to figure out what they're trying to communicate with you before you rush straight to them. That being said, when your baby is under 4 months old, tend to them right away. We don't need those babies crying. Not even like, no thank you, no way. But when they're over 4 months old, we're going to check on them first. We're going to figure out what they may need, and then we will tend to them. We're not just going to scoop them right up and grab them right away. We're gonna start giving them a little bit of independence. Now, this doesn't mean your baby needs to be crying forever. It just means that you just need to step back just a touch and assess the situation, okay? Babies cry for so many reasons. Is your baby hungry? Feed your baby. Is your baby hot, cold, soiled, pooped? Change them. Is your baby overstimulated? Have they been awake too long? Is it time to just go to a dark, quiet room and get your baby settled and calm down? If they're just overstimulated and it's not time for nap yet, just take them to a quiet room, engage in a very calming activity, listen to some songs together, just kind of cuddle, do what you need to do to calm your child down. If your child is overtired, it's okay to help your baby fall asleep. If they're overtired, it's going to be far more difficult to fall asleep independently, so definitely help your child in that case. If your child is hurt or sick, you are going to know it. So obviously tend to your baby right away if that is the case. Now here's where some tough love is going to come in. If you are working on sleep training, then we're going to give your baby some space. If all of those needs previously mentioned have been met, you know that your baby is loved, your baby is safe, your baby is not hungry, your baby is, full, their diaper is clean, that every single need is met, then you need to give your baby some space. When you are giving your baby space, you are giving them the opportunity to independently self-soothe. For the most part, when your baby is over 4 months old, having a leave and check type of sleep training method is going to be the most successful, the fastest. So what we're going to do is leave your baby in the crib, give them 5 to 10 minutes of active crying. Now, obviously you saw the title of this video, so we are going to define what active crying is. Active crying is when your baby is continuously crying for the entire interval. So when your baby is crying, that whole 5 to 10 minutes, whatever interval you are comfortable with, just keep it consistent. When they are actively crying that entire time, then you go in, check on them, make sure that everything is still good. This is what I call a wellness check. Go in your baby's nursery, check on them, see that they're okay, make sure they are well, and then leave again. So you are really only tending to them when they are actively crying for a certain amount of time. Now, we also need to talk about whining or fussing or just kind of grunting and just being dissatisfied, but not actively crying. Every time your child calms down, they are soothing themselves. So you need to give them the space and the opportunity to do so by not intervening. So this means that when they are actively crying, you have your timer going. You know that you're going to be watching the clock and you're going to go in at the end of that time. But when they stop crying, you stop the timer. It's very important to follow these steps because when you stop that timer, when your baby is only whining or fussing or they're starting to calm down, they are learning how to self-soothe. You may notice your baby rubbing their head on the crib. They might be slamming their hands or arms down. They may be doing that with their legs and kicking their legs up and down. Whatever your child is doing, maybe they're sucking on their hand or their thumb, whatever they're doing at that time is a self-soothing skill. So think of it this way. If your baby starts to calm down and they are self-soothing and you run into the room, you're giving them the message, no, 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 don't do that. You don't need to self-soothe because I'm gonna rescue you every single time. So when it comes to sleep training and active crying versus whining, it's really, really important that when your baby is just whining, you are not actively watching the clock. So at that point, you're just giving your child the space, the freedom, the independence to figure it out on their own. This is the first of many skills that your child is going to learn, and you as the parent will learn very quickly. You have to give your child the space and the independence to learn these skills. So with all of that being said, I know that crying and sleep training is very controversial. However, the benefits outweigh the risk. So when you have an overtired baby who is overtired, overstimulated, has a sleep debt, and they are just cranky all the time, they have increased levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. And when you are actively sleep training and your baby is going through that crying phase, they are also elevated cortisol, elevated stress levels. So yes, both situations are going to lead to a stressed out baby, but look what happens. Your sleep trained baby is going to learn how to sleep better and independently, and while they're sleeping and they have consolidated sleep, their cortisol levels are going down. They're becoming less stressed out. They are actually releasing endorphins and they're having happy hormones while they're sleeping instead of these overtired, overstimulated babies who continue to be stressed out. So you see how the benefits of sleep training and dealing with a little bit of crying may outweigh the risk of having your baby wake up every hour during the night. And yes, that means you may have to deal with some crying and some whining and some on and off intervals of going to check on your baby. But I promise you, it is so short-lived, and 99% of my clients have told me that they wished that they had done this sooner. Take it from parents themselves. Check out all of these reviews right here that these parents all wish that they had done sleep training sooner. A little bit of crying goes a long way. I promise. It's not going to scar your baby, and it is not going to affect your attachment with your babies. Let me tell you, I am so incredibly attached to my children, and they are so incredibly attached to me, and every single one of them was sleeping through the night between 3 and 5 months. Our attachment has zero correlation to sleep training, and I will be the first to tell you that my children did cry during sleep training, and I also met their needs, and I feel very confident in the skills that I taught my children because they still love their sleep. And guess who gets to sleep in on the weekend? I do. Sleep like a mother, y'all. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I want you guys to click the link in the description box down below and grab my free baby sleep guide. This guide is full of information, including wake windows, what your sleep environment should look like, and all the things. I can't tell you all the things right now. Just go grab the guide, find out for yourselves, print out the printables, put them on your fridge, put them on your baby's door, do all the things that you need to do with the baby sleep guide. Watch this playlist over here for more sleep training advice. Click this button over here to subscribe to my channel, and keep blooming. Mwah.